You know, and for the younger generation, I hope they don't have to go through that to get to that decision.
Correct.
You know, I wish I had to listen to somebody. I can't say nobody didn't put it in my ear.
Correct.
But I just didn't listen.
We back. Episode 2, Chop Talk Live with Harie, man. This is a beautiful setting. Shout out to my man, Cedric Bonds.
Thank you.
We out here on Lake Lanier Island, Harbor Landing to be exact. We're about to go through several different phases and topics of spirituality as we do business, financial literacy. We just really gonna bring you something very vibrant. And we're on waves anyway, so we're about to get live. I want to introduce you to my man, Cedric Bonds. We grew up together, Athens, Georgia. Cedric Bonds.
Hey, how you doing? Name's Cedric Bonds, as he said.
Yes.
Invited Harie out to where we have Atmosphere Boats and Rentals to take a look and have a conversation. He said, well, maybe we need to chop it up a little bit. And I said, what do you mean? And here we are.
So tell them, Cedric, about Atmosphere Entertainment and boating rentals.
Well, you know, here we try to create a luxury experience.
Correct.
For our clients that allow to build relationships and memories, you know, whether you're in high school reunion or a college grad or even a college reunion.
Correct.
To get together through a corporate team that we have, you know, for building your events and whatnot. You know, I like to think it's second to none. Pretty much if you can dream it, we can try to obtain it for you. We can at least get the bottom, show you the bottom of how this one look.
Okay.
Kim's upstairs right now showing guests, but if we had larger parties, we would bring them here.
Oh, man. Now, see, this changes the whole vibe.
You feel me?
This is the Ginsu Lounge
So
on the water.
yeah, you can come in here. We'll set your party aside. Let me get you a light.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Like, Dom, this is crazy because it's full, double door. Yeah, got it. Go. Damn.
Bedroom.
Full EQ setup.
This here goes upstairs.
Okay. Upstairs to the
yeah.
second level.
Full baths.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Immaculate.
Another
Tile.
master bedrooms that way. Let him come in so he can, I guess, get a few. Let me go upstairs. I know Kim up here showing it, but we can go and check it out right quick.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
They're holding their own conversation, and the guys up here around the bar. That's what
Hey. Hello, good people. How y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
Y'all walking
How's it
with one
going?
of the best on the lake, I see.
How you doing? Harie.
That's right.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thanks,
Harie.
Darlene.
Pleasure.
Just show them right quick. You taking a little
Oh,
video.
okay, gotcha.
Why you see
But
it?
that would be basically the setup of how all of this would kind of work. And
So,
if you see any
Upper level.
upper level.
Okay.
And then in the middle, we'll go over here and I'll show you his bar.
Okay.
let me know.
Get out y'all way.
Have a banner somewhere.
Okay.
We'll have to comprehend the word.
See.
Right. Like
Full
got
bar.
restroom.
So that's a full gas grill setup.
Right.
I don't know
Restroom
if
on
this
top.
quartz. This not
TVs.
quartz, but it's still nice.
Yeah.
Jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So give you an idea of the low to the higher, you know.
Correct. Exactly. But you've shown us so many different tiers. Excuse me.
Something like that. One
Sorry, Kim.
you're good. That can work for anything. Black, white.
So that's a brief breakdown, and we're going to get back to Atmosphere Boating and Rental, but we're going to start off with topic 1. And the topic that we always have to start off with is spirituality, the ultimate creator. This is not about a religion. This is how each individual man perceives themselves and what spiritual regimen that they use throughout life, because we got to have some type of spiritual connection with the ultimate creator. So my first question to you is, what's your spiritual regimen on a daily basis?
Well, My spiritual regimen is simply each and every time I open my eyes or before I close my eyes, I make sure to connect somehow, some way to my Creator.
That's the only regimen you really need. We ain't got to overcomplicate it. So, with that being said, that's prayer or
Correct.
just having a conversation with the Creator when you wake up and before you go to sleep. That should be a consistent regimen for any man or woman in this world. So I want to ask you the next question in regards to spirituality. What do you feel is important of having a spiritual relationship with the ultimate Creator?
It starts with foundation.
Correct.
If you don't have the foundation of that, then you have no basis on what you even thinking to do the next day.
Correct.
Some of us have to have, all of us have to have some type of guidance from something. We didn't just
Correct.
obtain 2 feet and start walking from
You
nothing.
ain't lying. You're not
So,
lying.
in saying that, I think that we can feel when we are close with God. We
Correct.
all have those intuitions or that inner voice, like when you go to do something and something tells you, hold up, you don't listen. 9 times out of 10, that hold up became painful later. There are times in my life where I wish I had held up. There are times
feel
when the
you.
message came from other people that got the whisper to hold up. And likewise, but I think a foundation for me and an understanding that I have come from a background with my mother, who was a pastor.
Correct.
My stepfather as well. They have a church out in Conyers.
Correct.
And through that, and pretty much my aunties and my extended family.
You are
The
correct.
people I was around outside
Yeah.
of my direct family
You are
was
correct.
very religious or spiritual.
Correct.
One thing about me, I was always that why guy. I just didn't take it for as there's something that we can't see, can't believe, can't touch, can't whatever.
Correct.
I was always, why can't we? Why can't we?
Exactly.
Until I realized one day that I didn't have to have those answers no more because the answers was within me. And while I was answering those questions, I realized I was wasting my time and trying to figure out something that once I figured it out, it wouldn't matter what it was that I was doing anyway.
Man, yeah, that's a mouthful of greatness. So, we're going to touch bases on this because every man and woman needs it. I have room for improvement. So, my thing is, what areas do you feel where there's room for improvement in regards to any man's or woman's spiritual journey?
Personally, I know what my areas of improvement are, and that's simple.
As we should.
And that's I need to improve with my walk with God.
Oof. Very
Because there's
strong.
moments where I don't walk with Him. And those are
Correct.
battles. But the moments where I walk with Him, I have no worries.
I know that's right.
And right now, Mr. Robinson's a little honest. I've been worrying too much, so I need to get back to my walk
I
with
know
God.
that's right. I know that's right because we got to give it to God.
Right.
In order, we get in our way sometimes because we try to control things that God already has in control. So what you said is my fault. I got tinglies all over my forearms, but that's when we know that's a message from God, when we get those tingles, when we know we're having the right conversations.
Right.
And these young men and women, and even men our age and older than us, we all need it because it's a nonstop process to get to where we want to be. And we're going to get there a lot quicker, a lot safer with God versus trying to jump off the ship and we on a boat. Better than jumping off the boat and trying to swim somewhere when God done created a boat. We just ride the boat to where we need to go.
That's it.
That's
it.
So.
And, and just to touch one last thing.
No,
on
you
that,
good. You good. Let's go.
I'm a firm believer in be careful what comes out your mouth.
Ooh, man.
And also
the power of the tongue.
The power of tongue.
Oof.
And also be careful what you pray for. And not to touch bases on everything because I honestly don't think we have that much time.
Correct.
But I once prayed for my kids.
Correct.
Protection.
Definitely.
After I went through a divorce.
Correct.
To make a long story short, to tie this up.
Yeah.
The very thing that I prayed for came in an answer that I prayed for it, but I didn't enjoy it. And what I mean by that is I was removed away from the household, but during that time, I was praying for the safety of my kids.
Correct.
So through the safety of my kids, God did answer my prayer by removing me because I was the only threat that was doing something in the household to bring any type of insecurities. So be careful what you pray for. Now, through that,
Yes.
something good did come throughout it all. It wasn't something that was detrimental to where I couldn't overcome it.
Correct.
But just be careful.
Without a doubt. And you said something about time, and there's an old saying that we are here for a good time, not a long time.
Right.
But I had to remix it.
Okay.
A good time can be a long time, long as we make the right choices and keep God in front of us. So we're going to slide on that note.
Okay.
Ooh-wee. Business. What would you say in your experience with Atmosphere Entertainment and boat rentals? What would you say is the foundation of the core of your business that, one, keeps you fully involved, and two, what makes Atmosphere move from a business perspective?
Well, for me, Harie, I recently acquired and started the Atmosphere Boats and Rentals,
Okay.
Atmosphere Entertainment and Boat Rentals.
Correct.
So as far as a foundation in itself, I'm still structuring it,
Okay.
but the foundation within the move of it comes from me being in the entertainment business prior.
Correct.
So because of that, I know how to likewise entertain people, decor certain things for people.
Correct.
And set, no pun intended, the atmosphere.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
For the people that they want. So in all, man, I just, I can't wait to get this boat that we're working on now launched off.
Correct.
But within the fleet, I have about 5 or 6 other boats that, we're set to go for,
That's
But like
beautiful.
I said, the foundation as a whole and everything, I think it really boils down to our past and what we've done. And I have
Correct.
over 20 years experience from management to producing to owning my own studio with
Correct.
various other people. So,
Correct. It does take a team. We're only as good as the people around us.
Correct.
It's something that my man Kamal told me a long time ago when we was out in Memphis. He's like, Harie, remember one thing, you're only as good as the people around you.
And it's funny you say that. I told a guy the other day, I said, hey, if you got 5 broke friends around you, because you got a lot of friends, but if
Correct.
5 of them's broke and that's who you hang with, what are you?
Oh,
And
man.
he says, what was it? I said, you're the 6th broke one.
Correct.
'Cause ain't none of y'all
There
doing
ain't
anything.
nothing else coming.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, and that's a great point you touched on, and it's related to business, is I don't want to use the cliche, your network is your net worth. Okay, yeah, that's cool. But the network ain't worth a shit if it's a whole bunch of broke motherfuckers in it, right?
That's right.
Right. Okay. All right. So we got ingredients. When we cook, we cook for ourselves. It's always ingredients involved that makes the meal very tasty. So with business, what would you say is the most important ingredient in any business relationship? Relationship meaning you might have private investors or you might have business partners, but what's the most important ingredient to making sure that a business relationship is solid? It's going to be problems, but what's the key ingredient to keeping a business nucleus of partners
For me?
locked in?
For me, I pondered, I had this question once before, and I pondered on this because at first my instinct says trust.
Oof.
All right. If there is no trust, there is no business. Now, after I thought about that for a while, I came back and I said, you know what? Nah, I don't want trust. I'd rather have integrity of a person.
Correct.
Because the integrity of a person, if he's a trustworthy person, he's going to do the right thing regardless. And on top of that, I don't have to be around to watch him.
Correct.
So to me, integrity goes
Yeah.
in line with trust. But that
Yeah,
first.
you took the words out of my mouth.
Right.
When we think about entrepreneurship and doing business, versus being in a corporate structure, and there's nothing wrong with corporate structure. There's nothing wrong with getting a salary and making $250,000, $500,000 a year. But what would you say, or what suggestions do you have in regards to your business structure and young up and coming entrepreneurs? What advice would you give them in terms of building a brand like Atmosphere and having their back end business in order?
let's keep it towards the boats, I guess. But
Correct.
Like for example, on the front end of the boats, everybody sees the parties getting loaded,
Yeah.
the smiles, the drinks. They're having a great time. You know,
Correct.
oh, I want one of these. Not realizing that BOAT stand for blow another 1,000.
Correct. That's a strong acronym.
Right.
Choppers required.
So, you know, me, I think that as far as the back end, some of the things you can tighten up on is like necessarily you don't need 4 people, maybe security for certain parties.
Correct.
Whereas before, when you first start up, you're thinking everybody wants a job, everybody wants to have fun.
Correct.
Everybody wants to be here, you know. But in actuality, do you need everybody here? Because you're stumbling over each other and and other things that come about. Double the food, double everything else with the people that you have. So, far as me, I think now I'm getting to the point where I kind of got my team. I think to minimize the amount of people that we need on the boat and maximize the amount of people that can get on the boat for my customer.
Yeah.
Because if a boat only holds 50, I don't need more than 3 people on here that's mine.
Correct.
But there's a lot of ways you can on the back end. Like I say, the people don't see that as much. The loading the tables, putting chairs out, you know,
Correct.
stuff like that.
Correct.
But you know, as long as the people, you know, I guess that's currently working for you is happy.
Correct.
You shouldn't have no problems.
Correct. So with back end business is really trying to reduce or minimize. Because people think it's just exactly overhead, and the fact that somebody on the outside looking in may think that this is party and fun, but there's still a back end part of the business that has to be managed properly,
Right.
in order for the business to have longevity.
Right. Right.
Versus it being a clusterfuck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know? 3 things that I've thought about. We touched on spirituality. We touched on business. Now we're going to touch on the financial aspect of it, okay? In regards to atmosphere entertainment, boat rentals, how did you even decide to do this? And 2, you ain't got to give up too much information, but how did you fund? I mean, how did you even have the idea, bring it to fruition, and then have the capital and finance to bring it to life?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a simple question. One thing about truth is never hard to tell it.
Correct.
All right. So, in essence, man, a friend of mine,
Okay.
by the name Terry,
Okay.
called me up and he said, "Hey, man, you ought to try this boat life out." I said, "Nah, it's not really my thing, man."
I
He
feel
says,
you.
"Well, you know, the music thing and the logistics and all the other stuff you're doing, are you enjoying it?"
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I wasn't enjoying it, but it was bringing in some type of income.
Exactly.
I told him I would come out here approximately a couple years ago, and I first worked with him, and I fell in love with the atmosphere of it, you know, and that's hence what the name came from.
Correct.
I also ended up coming out to work one weekend, ended up working the whole summer with him. All right, so he kind of laughed at me and whatnot. Didn't really say too much. He's kind of a quiet guy himself.
Correct.
Humble. Went back probably around the beginning of this year. He calls me up and goes, "Hey, man, I got a boat out here for you." Ooh. Yeah, right. He goes, "Nah, I got one. It's a little smaller than mine." Of course, he's not going to, because he know I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller than his.
Correct.
But anyway, he says, "You can get it for this price." So I happened to call a partner of mine
Okay.
and asked him, did he want to go in half on the boat? He didn't second guess me. He said, "Let's do it." And we got the money together from another investor. And
Beautiful.
here we are today.
You know what? In that, now we're going back to spirituality and all of that, what you just said. Terry give you the call, friends, private investors, partners. That's all divine intervention. It brings it together. You know, so that's a blessing in itself. With this type of business, I know you have to reduce your overhead as much as you can, right? Because you said boat is blow another 1,000.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy. All right, but how do you reduce overhead expense in this business or cost per month in regards to boat rental business? How do you reduce? Where are some areas where if somebody wanted to invest into buy a houseboat, what would be the best way for them to reduce overhead? I know that's a lot.
Well,
We ain't got enough time to cover it, but just hit on the strong ones.
Well, if you're consistent overheads, things like the peer fees, because each peer is going to be priced differently,
Correct.
ranging from $800 quarterly to $4,000 quarterly.
Okay.
Depending on where you're at and where the location. Anything other than that, you're looking at expenses as far as
Maintenance.
your labor.
Yeah.
Maintenance.
Eesh.
Maintenance can be high. Depends on the condition of the boat you get. You know? But if you got a decent running boat, you can get away probably about $10,000 a month. $10,000 a year.
Okay.
Upkeep.
Okay.
Now, if it's something like an engine go out or something like that,
Yeesh.
it's costing $25,000 pretty much for 2 new engines to go in the back of a boat.
That's
And
strong.
that's outboard.
That's strong. Now, would you say that even though this is not reducing overhead, but would you say that consistent maintenance, tune-ups, and things of that nature? And I'm not a boat guy,
Yeah.
but it's got to have
definitely
it's
a
got an
must.
engine. Is the maintenance can that
Yeah.
even though it's a expense, it reduces overhead because maybe if you keep it maintenance properly, you don't have to put in
Correct.
$25,000 into the engine.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
definitely a must. So we try to at least every 2 months or so do
Gotcha.
an oil change and the routine checkup, just like a vehicle.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
And even more so because the last thing you want on a boat is for it to sputter or go out when you got 40, 50 people on board.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
You know,
Now,
you're
that's a
looking at a different
catastrophe.
situation.
Yeah, and you got to refund and give bread back because they ain't make it through the whole 4 to 5 hours.
Right.
So I understand that.
Right.
The next question I have for you, Mr. Bonds, is expansion, atmosphere, entertainment, and boat rentals expansion. Okay. When should any business owner, in regards to their brand, whatever it is, clothes, boats, cars, whatever it is, when do you feel it's the right time to go from 4 to 5 boats to 10 to 15? And I know bread is going to be involved.
Well, the simple answer for me is when you have more work, then you have the vehicles to put them on.
Correct.
You know.
Correct.
So if I'm, for example, averaging during the summer 5-6 bookings a weekend, and I'm having to put other parties on other boats and not mine, it's time for an expansion.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's the simplest way to
Correct.
put it.
Yeah, it's super simple.
Yeah,
And I just say that because everybody don't really understand supply and demand.
Definitely not.
You know what I'm saying? The economics. So, you know, even whether it's luxury car rentals or boat rentals, is exactly what you said. And it's a simple question because some people may have the bread.
Right.
They may have just inherited the bread. Good for them. God bless them.
Right.
But when you getting it out the ground, out the mud, as they say, right? You might have an extra 250 over here, 500,000 over there. That don't mean you just go expanding.
Right.
If they not listening to Chop Talk with Harie and Cedric Bonds, they might just go take 150 and buy boats. It ain't nothing but a ghost town.
Got it. Nothing but a car sitting in the garage.
Come on with it. But that's why we have these conversations on Chop Talk with Harie, because as grown men, it's really our responsibility to share knowledge that's going to uplift our youth, our kids, other people's kids, you know. But no, that was a great answer on that. Go ahead.
On that too, you know,
Talk to me.
a lot of young guys, they think, you know, you're out here, you doing your hustle, whatever it is it may be.
Yep.
And you might think you have some money in your pocket, 100,000, let's say, and you go and you buy something, and before you realize your bill's getting more caught up, you know, twice as fast as you thought, and now you're having to go do something else to try to come up with that.
Come on with it.
You know, but one thing I've learned throughout this process is to stop using my own money.
Yeah, OPM.
You know, and use other people's money, correct. And, you know, one thing through that, I had to get my credit back established.
Correct.
Which is, you know, it's good. I had to get my business credit going, get my number up on Dun and Bradstreet, my paydex score up. And
I
all
know
that.
that's right.
And, you know, and
They need to hear this.
and cash is capital still,
Correct.
you know, at least in my world.
Correct.
So if I could use the credit of others and turn around and save my cash, why wouldn't I do that? I'd rather have that opportunity than to have no cash with no credit. And what am I going to do?
Yeah, them bills gonna keep hitting you in the head
it's
like
definitely
8 sledgehammers, boop, 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 boop. But you done already put the bread out there.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, and if there's no structure there, and like you said, like we talked about supply and demand, like we already have consumers, consumer retention. People are locked in. They're doing repetitive bookings with atmosphere, entertainment, and boat rentals. It's customer retention. You got 6 boats and they constantly booked out.
Yeah.
365 days a year. Yeah, it's time to make that investment so
Yeah.
you can expand.
Well, you know, on the way I look at that, if I got, let's say, the boats are going out every 5 hours.
Correct.
So ideally, you can only get 2 out in a day. Clean up minus whatever else.
Okay.
So if I got 4 people that's called me, that means I got 2 other boats and I'm booking. I'm giving away the money. You know?
My goodness.
Giving away the money to somebody else. But once I sat down and did the numbers and figured out the money I'm giving away could have paid for another boat in maybe a year's time, now it makes sense to go get another boat. But you know, if I'm just having a good week, that's a good month. That's not part of the equation for me to be able to say I need another boat.
I feel you on that 100%.
And plus,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
plus,
you got it.
With that as well, it's not just having another boat. It's double the staff.
Yeah.
Double the people you're going to be attending to. But one of the drawbacks out here is like with the staff, it's hard to get people that's
Ooh, I think I know what you're saying. Go.
people friendly. Let's just say.
Oh man.
The
Yeah,
people that I
customer
work with
service.
now, customer service wise, we're good. But I have seen others that come aboard, and I'm like, please, could you not even just? I really don't even want you talking to the guests. So that's the main thing with us.
You
We got to have
touched
our
on
customer
something
service.
then. Said
A1.
you touched on something then, said, because I'm gonna use Popeyes for example. Now, with any job, anything you get hired for, you have a choice. You put in the application. Actually, you shouldn't even put in the application unless you want the job. People take jobs and feel like they're entitled. Entitled.
Yeah.
To get bread when their customer service is trash. And
Hey man.
it's very irritating to me. I went to Popeyes one time, you know what I'm saying, grabbing me probably some chicken fingers or something like that. I was hungry. And the Popeyes I go to is on the north side, but I really don't be wanting to go to that motherfucker because I'm like, you know what, man? I keep going to supporting them and their customer service trash, but I said, let me go ahead and give them a try again. Order my food, get to the drive-up window, give him my debit card. This chick had to be about 16, 17 years old, maybe 18. Give him my debit card, said, and she said, oh, your card don't work. It ain't working. It's declined. I was like, now I know it's chopping the account. She was like, well, I can't rerun it. You're going to have to come inside. I was like, boy. But anyway, I got off, but that shit irritated me, man.
Hey, but look, real quick on that.
Trash customer service.
Last night,
Fuck out of here.
I went to Wendy's, right? I ain't going to say the location, but I went to the Wendy's. I get up there, and I order my food. So the food comes back. The guy I'm in the car with, he says, hey, let me get a couple fries. So he gets one. It's cold.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, maybe I can do it with the fries. I'm going to go home, put it in the microwave, and let me try my hamburger. I bite my hamburger. It's
shit.
red.
God
It's not even
dang.
cold. It's red.
How the hell they do that
So,
at Wendy's?
At Wendy's, bro. So I drive back around. I said, hey, man.
Trash.
Can I get a hamburger, but this time, can it be a little hot for me?
Yeah.
By the way, since you got to do all that, can you give me some fries?
You shouldn't even
You know what this man tell me? You know what he tells me? He tells me, bruh, it's 10 o'clock. I don't care if it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
You close at 12. I want my food hot.
Correct.
He says, but man,
Cook
it's
the
10
order.
o'clock, man. You shouldn't. I said, look at man. I work. I make my money per hour just like you make your money per hour.
Same
if you come
thing.
to my establishment, I'm going to make sure that you're okay.
Correct.
I said, now you trying to give me some cold food? Are you serious right now? This dude was serious, man. He gave me some cold food.
It's a shame you got to go to fast food and say if, and I don't eat a lot of fast food, but sometimes it's necessary. I'm just going to keep it real.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have to tell nobody to cook the order.
Nah. But you know what? That's what you get when you're
Well
going
done.
there.
You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck if it is $15. I want that shit right, crispy. But look, I know you busy, man, but I want to go to some closing remarks, and this is going to be one that people need. Based on your past and dealing with your ups and downs, right?
Right.
What advice can you give any man or woman in general on staying the course of their purpose, or what they're put here to do?
Okay.
What would you say is, what's the best advice you can give them in terms of your journey, highs and lows, of how advice you can give them to stay the course of their purpose?
Well, you know, just to get into that a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
I before had the recording studio.
Correct.
Online Productions.
Correct.
A bonding company, ABC Bonding down in LaGrange.
I remember bonding company.
Computer
I came down there
store.
to see you in LaGrange.
Almost anything computers. And
Correct.
Another store called Hippieware.
Correct.
So I said all that to say when September 11, 2001 hit, Twin Towers,
Yeah. 9/11.
everything went up in haywire for me. Okay, there was nobody really trying to go to jail, so I wasn't making no money there, which thank God I ain't never wanted somebody to go to jail.
Correct.
There wasn't nobody looking to buy computers because we didn't know what was going to go on with our money.
Correct.
We was going to war.
Correct.
So for about 3 months, I only brought in about $8,000 a month, but my average monthly bills was about $18 a month at that time.
Correct.
So 3 months times, I'm 30 grand in the hole.
Whew.
I listened to the studio, the DJ in my studio at the time, and he goes, man, you know a little bit of everybody. Why don't you call this person? So I made a phone call. Guy comes down. I asked him, did he need something? The other particular guy, you know, they ended up whatever.
Correct.
Provided me with something. I showed it to the other guy. He goes, yeah, I just can't do nothing with one. I need 10.
Correct.
So unfortunately, when he bought those 10, that was my introduction to something that I should have never been introduced to.
I feel you.
At that time, I was about 32, had never been in the game, had never done anything wrong.
Correct.
As a matter of fact, I was against it because my father, unfortunately, got caught up in a trafficking case.
Correct.
So, you know, when you're going into that, it's kind of like deja vu. Does this repeat history and everything else?
Yes, indeed.
So from that, I ended up getting, of course, later on, I ended up getting caught up on that.
Correct.
I received a sentence. Now, the first time I was in, I said to myself, you know, I'm not just going to put it to waste. I'm going to try to make something out of this.
Damn right.
So I started writing a book called Unbelievable, the life story you still won't believe when done reading.
Correct.
Of a hustler.
Of a hustler.
Right.
Yeah, chop talk.
And it starts off with my dad's door getting kicked in, and it ends
I remember
middle ways
that.
with my door getting kicked in.
Damn.
And the end is kind of like, what decisions are you going to make?
Correct.
You know, and for the younger generation, I hope they don't have to go through that to get to
Correct.
that decision.
Correct.
You know, I wish I had to listen to somebody. I can't say nobody that put it in my ear.
Correct.
But I just didn't listen because the money was enticement was too much for me. You know,
I feel you.
And to go from wondering how you're going to pay back $30,000 to how you're going to spend $10,000 in this club and then go to the next club. You know, it's a
Correct.
whole different mindset.
Correct.
So I fell in love with that. I had adopted 2 boys, you know, from birth, and thought I was doing the right thing, you know. But you know that the devil comes in many different ways.
Ooh,
you know?
you ain't lying.
So inside of that, I did my time and get out. I'm thinking about keeping on the straight.
Correct.
There's a difference this time, but thinking about keeping difference
Thank
on
the
the
Lord.
straight.
Yeah.
And I thought I was like everybody else that goes in and comes out. They think they're smarter than the system.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't, you know, now it's logically in my head. How can you beat 100 people looking for you when you're one running?
Correct.
So, you know, just that's the way I have to think now, reference to the BS that I was into.
No, I feel you.
All right.
I feel you 100%.
So, you know, I sat back and I actually had the time to sit down on paper and say, hey, if I made $75,000 or $100,000 for 10 years, I would have been a millionaire.
Correct.
Or, you know, which very few, and I don't want to put a statistic on it, but I'm sure it's less than 10%
Correct.
of people get into any type of fast hustle game and get a chance to get out of it and still have what they wanted. So, you
You
know,
ain't lying.
if you're one of the very few, then keep it real, hats off to you.
Correct.
But if you ain't, then you understand if you ain't been through it, just go and get out the way now.
Correct.
Because the number one thing I think I miss most is the time away from your family and the time away from your kids.
Correct.
Now, you become closer to God because you have nobody else but you.
Yeah.
So when
That's
you
real.
Now, if you really speaking to him,
Yeah.
you know,
Really?
really speaking to him, then you realize that you weren't put here on earth for that.
Correct.
So through that now, which I didn't even touch base with you on before, I have a nonprofit organization called Chosen Remnant.
Strong.
Me, my mom, and one of her partners actually started, and one other person. And we just did an opening not too long ago. But it's
You
set
showed me
out,
the videos for that at the store at House of Fresh.
right?
Yeah.
And it's set out to help women and kids likewise, and also hopefully we can become an advocacy for the courts. So like if pregnant women are in the system and the judge says it looks like they'll be home within 9 months, we can obtain the baby, put them in the center, and then when they get out, they have to go through a program to get the kids back. And we'll go
That's
to court with them.
strong, super strong. I don't really think I've heard of a program like that, and I'm sure it may be out there, but you my brother from another mother, so.
Right. Well, they got court
That's
advocacy
powerful.
all the time.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm talking about the nonprofit aspect of it.
Right,
Of
right.
getting those extra arms of hands to make everything click in so when they do get out, they can at least not have to deal with, and I don't know if I'm saying this properly, but defects. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all will be able to facilitate the transition, you know? So, and that's powerful. That's another divine intervention and a gift from the Creator.
Yeah.
You know? So, I want to close up, and that's very strong, and I know that's going to help a lot of young men and women for you to share that part of your life. You got to tell people where to find you at, man. The websites and the Instagrams, the Facebooks, however it go, you got to let them know.
Well, I'm out here at Lake Lanier,
Yes, indeed.
up in Gainesville.
Yes.
And you can go to my website. It's aeboatrentals.com. Check it out. Put a request in for me to get back in touch with you, which I have no problem doing.
I know that.
You can do all your bookings through the phone number there, or you can call me direct at 470-569-3796. And if I don't answer, I will get back with you pretty fast.
That's all good.
But for the most part, yeah, we're just out here chilling, man. We do all type of events, luxury events. We've done weddings. Matter of fact, the other day we took an island out here
Okay.
and turned it into a whole wedding.
I know
And
that was real tingle.
Yeah, it was real nice. They stayed overnight and everything. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the amenities that you can get as well.
That's
we have-
atmosphere.
Yeah, Atmosphere, or actually my partner company.
Correct,
brother
Mystique,
company,
right?
is Mystique Entertainment.
Yeah.
And likewise, you know, and they've been in the business as well for over 15 years.
That's very strong.
So again, if you can thank it, we would certainly appreciate it if you came out here and supported us.
Yeah.
And just give us a call and, you know, see what we can put together for you, for sure.
Well, Cedric, I appreciate your time, my brother. We're going to close it down. And once again, this is episode 2, Chop Talk Live with Harie. And I appreciate my brother Cedric Bonds and brother Terry, Mystique Entertainment. I appreciate both of you brothers for the opportunity.
I will say this because I probably known you longer than most of your guests you're going to have.
Correct.
So, no, I'm not going to surprise you, hit you sideways.
No.
But, I will say this guy has been the same guy since day one.
Better believe that.
And hopefully I don't think neither one of us changed up much, no more than just growing in wisdom.
Correct.
And I've been a very, very, I've been watching him from afar, and I've been happy with the way he's been moving.
I appreciate that, dog.
Yeah,
I appreciate
for
that, dog. I
sure.
love you, brother.
Same here.
Chop Talk.